you should now see in the upper left-hand corner a button that says recording. That lets you know that this session is now being recorded. So I recommend that if it's necessary, particularly if you're interacting with a group about which you are concerned. What I mean by that is if you're on a sales call, if you're interacting with people, you're not really sure how they're going to act, I recommend recording. Additionally, if you want to have it, like Trina, I want to see this again later, how do I go about doing that? Here's how you do it. So for public meetings, I know a lot of townships, like the mayor's office, when they have town council meetings, all this stuff is recorded for a person to see later on, a member of the community.
I'm sorry, and you're recording it, then you share the recording with us?
I can. What I will do is I will post it on my YouTube channel. A person could post that video anywhere, really. It's just a video file. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel. So later on, after this is over, I'll just post it there and I'll send you all the link.
And how did you turn the recording on?
Okay. When you are at the bottom, so as a participant, please take your cursor and put it over like just below where you see my ugly mug. There will be a couple of buttons down there. One says participants, one says chat, one says share. Do you see that? Okay. As the host, I have a button that says record. I have some additional features because I'm the host. You have a few different ones, a few fewer ones, but as a host, I can record. And the only limitation is how much hard drive space you have. It's about a half a gig per hour.
I'm sorry, I have a button that says record on mine.
You do. You may be able to do it on your own. It depends on the device you have. I'm actually running a Chromebook on the left. An iPad won't do it. A Chromebook will. A full-size desktop usually will as well. As the host, I have the ability to turn that on and off for you. I don't care. If you want to record it, record it. Please do, in fact. I can turn that on and off. But yes, that's where the interactions are. You also have a button there called chat. And that would be an opportunity to what we call the back channel, meaning participants could talk to each other, or if it's a really big presentation, you can encourage your participants to type their questions there, and a second person on my side would respond to those questions, or I would read those questions later on, or I could read them as I was going along and customize my responses, how I'm presenting, based on the questions that are posted in the chat. And I can post those questions to everyone or just one individual user. So in the bottom, you have the ability to get it to everyone, or you can type it just to me. So using the chat can be a useful tool. Now, again, depending on with which kind of organization you're working, you may or may not want that. I have had interactions with high school students, and they're not always as polite as you'd like them to be. So you have the ability to turn off the chat as well. I see you smiling at me. Is that what your experience is all? Yeah, go ahead.
So you started off by saying that depending on the device, you may or may not be able to record.
That's correct.
So can you go through the differences of the devices? Because right now I am on my iPad. So if I wanted to host something, I just want to be sure that I'm on the best device to allow me to do all the things that I need to do.
Okay. Well, I will say, generally speaking, I know that's kind of weird. The more full size the device is, the greater functionality you're going to have. An iPad will be somewhat limited because you don't have the same screen real estate. For example, to move between viewing and the chat, you have to go between screens.
Right.
Whereas between the full-size computer, you can move between the chat. I can see the chat and I can see the people all simultaneously.
Okay.
So I don't recommend, I mean, if you're hosting, I want to recommend that you work on the biggest device you possibly can.
Okay.
So.
And if you have type something in, how do you send it? In the chat?
Anybody where it says type message here, just hit enter on your keyboard.
I haven't done that.
And there you have it. You can see everyone.
Okay, so just enter, okay.
Good stuff. So the point is that you now have the ability to, if you wanted to, have what we call, like I said, a back channel that allows you to have additional interactions. Now, again, this is not the biggest group. So what we could do is just, like I said, we have everyone who has the ability to interact, verbally. I also have the ability as the host to turn on and off everyone's microphone. So I can, again, I have the ability to turn you all off. And if I want to, I can uncheck the box that you don't have the ability to turn yourself back on. So if people are being kind of unruly, I can turn off your mics and then prevent you from turning them back on again. Again, with adults, I don't normally do that. But again, I'm trying to go over what some of the abilities are. So like I said, as a part of the agenda, what I want to do here is I want to go over how you make these sessions, how you make the settings and what they do. So I'm logged into my Zoom and what you should have now is my screen showing you Zoom's website. Do you all have that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what I have here is I'm in my own account. And then over on the left-hand side, I have this button that says settings. And this is where all this stuff lives. So I recommend you go through this before you set up your meeting. So I always recommend that I want to turn my own video on because, well, I want people to see me when I'm doing my presentation. However, to start, participants' video is off because I don't want them to be surprised that when they join and they're not quite ready. So I asked each one of you to turn on your video individually, and then you could say yes or no. Additionally, I do not ever allow people to join before I come in. And just below that, I also always have the password. So even if someone were to randomly type in your meeting number, they still couldn't join in without a password. That said, when you make an event, the presentation will make the link all you guys got, it had the password built in. So if you clicked on that link, it just took you there. So I always recommend having a password for your meetings. I also have everyone muted upon entry. Once again, they may not be ready. They may not know that they've been officially turned on. They're on a phone call because you're sitting in the waiting room and it says, host will let you in, host will let you in, host will let you in. And all of a sudden you're in. I don't want you to be surprised that all of a sudden everyone can hear you. So I turn the video off to start and I set you to mute to start. So here's the option for chat. You can turn the chat on. You don't have to have the chat turned on. And right now, I'm not allowing you to save the chat. You can. I can let you turn that on if you want. I also have private chat turned off. And what that means is you can only chat with everyone or me. If you have private chat turned on, that means everyone can talk to everybody else. Again, it depends on what kind of environment you find yourself in. I'm concerned. I'm worried that private chat goes off the rails. Now, this co-host feature means that you can have someone else work with you. That means that they can control, they can move people around. As you see, there was this button for polling, meaning I asked you a question ahead of time. Again, if you don't tend to do that, I would turn that off. Screen sharing is very big. Obviously, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to you, but I'm showing you what I'm doing. That said, I have it allowed that all of you could share your screens if you so desired. That is very helpful, I find, because, oh, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. My computer doesn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about. You can say, oh, share your screen. So if you look at your own work, again, at the bottom of yours, there should be a green button that says share. That would allow you to share what's on your own screen. Now, in an iPad, I'm not sure that's always available because there's no like second thing.
So I'm actually looking at my toolbar, and it does have a little button that says share content.
Okay.
Is that the share screen or no? Is that something
Similar.
different?
It's what kind? It's not exactly the same. It's like you can share a video, but it's like you have to switch between screens, whereas I have a full everything all the time.
When I actually press on it, I'm getting this dialog box that says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Right. So I would have to stop mine.
Mm-hmm.
Share
Now
screen.
go ahead and share yours.
This is what I have. Did you see anything?
Nope.
Okay. I mean, I hit it and it gave me the option to, it gives me a whole list of different things I can share. One is my screen.
Right.
I mean, but really right now, the only thing on my screen is all of you in this meeting. So let's just say if I hit screen, it just shows, it doesn't really show
Here
much of
comes.
anything.
Now that's Susan, whoever Susan is.
Yeah, what happened? I don't know.
Yeah, you just shared yours. So if
How do I unshare?
okay,
How do I?
go to that button again, that bottom button again, and say,
I know, but now I'm out. I don't see. Sorry, everybody.
that's okay.
Hold on. Let me see.
I just
Oh, there-
stopped you.
Okay, so then
As
I
the
just.
host, I can pull your stuff back down.
Okay, so then that's that. Okay.
So Robert just started his. So he can show, hey, this is what mine looks like. Here's what mine looks like. So everybody has the ability to share theirs. Now, again, because we're adults, I'm sort of trusting you. But
I'm
if
sorry,
I-
you were able to stop a user from
Yeah.
sharing their screen.
as the host, I can stop your share right then.
Is that a setting or is that just automatic?
Because I'm the host, it's part of it.
Okay.
Um,
So if the person can't figure out how to get out of it, you can stop them.
that's correct. That's exactly what I was doing.
Right. Okay.
So for Edie, that's what I was saying, that on an iPad, you have some limit, the functionality is somewhat limited.
Yeah.
Whenever possible, I'm recommending a full screen device, a full size thing.
Okay.
Now on the share screen, when people talk, don't they come up on the screen?
Well, not if you're sharing. Well, let me talk to that. You have the ability. So when I share my screen, and I'm going to do that again right here. You have in the kind of there's like a green bar across the top. It says like your screen is being, you're viewing Mike Scarra's screen.
Yeah.
You should have a little button that allows you to get out of full screen mode. Just to the right of that, there's like a little drop down arrow.
Yeah.
So that allows you to get out of full screen mode. You also have the ability to do something called side by side, which means you can see me and you can see my screen simultaneously. And that's what I recommend for all participants, having it side by side. You can see my ugly mug and you can see all the devices as well. So let me go back to the Zoom settings. Here we go. Now we're back to my Zoom. So again, that's screen sharing. Here we go. So a little further down, you have something called annotation, meaning that we can draw on the board here. Like I say, it's right here. So I can kind of draw on the screen if I so desire. Again, I can turn that on or off. Again, it's a little more difficult when you're working with more youthful students. They'll go crazy. So know your audience. A little bit further down, we have something called nonverbal feedback, which means you can tell me faster, slower, yes, no, stuff like that. There's the little buttons where the chat is. I also have a feature called breakout room. What breakout room means is I can put you into small groups. So if you're working like in a writing club or something, or you're working with, you want to put the sopranos in one room, the altos in another room, the tenors in another room, and the baritones in another room, you can break people up that way. That's called the breakout room. A little further down, you have closed captioning. Unfortunately, closed captioning is not automatic. That's what the co-host is for. The co-host could do closed captioning if, in fact, you have a problem with a person who's visually impaired, auditory impaired, they're deaf and hard of hearing. And a little further down from that, the waiting room is a super important one. You always want to have the waiting room. That prevents people from just jumping in and out of your class. You probably all received that when you came in this morning. You said the host has to let you in. Like I'm letting in someone right now. Okay.
When you're sharing your screen, I only see on the right-hand side of my screen 4 participants. Is that?
Yes, you can, up in the bottom of that, there's a blue arrow where you can scroll through more. And to the right, at the very top, you have like a 3x3 grid. That's called gallery view or grid view. You can see more people that way.
Oh.
So I do that as an instructor regularly to see people's faces.
Would you go over that again, please? I'm sorry.
So right now, I'm hopeful that you see my face and a couple other people.
I'm not seeing yours. I'm just seeing a few people.
Right. That's fine. You're seeing some people.
Yeah.
Probably the bottom right corner or the very bottom center, there should be an arrow pointing down or to the right. That allows you to scroll through the people.
Okay.
So what it does is it puts the people who are actually broadcasting video first. So right now in this particular session, 12 people are showing their video and others are not. So the people who are actually showing their video are first.
So if you're teaching a class, for example, and I'm sharing my screen with the students, I may not see all the students at the same time, depending
That's
on.
correct.
Okay, so there's no way around that.
Unfortunately, no, because it would take up so much screen real estate, you couldn't see your own screen. Because as you can see, the pictures are like taking up a corner.
Right.
So what I do often is I just stop the share temporarily, and then I see everybody again.
Okay.
And then I start to share again. That literally takes just a few seconds.
I didn't see if the view is, I think, side by side, you can't scroll through.
Yes, that's correct. It's more difficult.
Okay. All right.
Mike, another question, if I may. You're talking about the items on the left that you've been saying that you have them on your screen. Does that mean that and you're talking to a complete novice here, I just want you to know.
I think, otherwise you wouldn't be here.
Right, thank you. Yeah. So does that mean that when I or any one of us sets up a meeting or a class, whatever it might be, we then can create whatever form we want?
That's
And
correct.
if so, how do we do that?
Well, we're kind of doing it right now.
Got
We're
it.
going through the settings,
Okay,
and you can change them for each meeting.
okay.
What I'm doing today is I'm showing you what the settings are and what the choice means. For example, if this was an elementary school, I
Yeah.
would not have the chat turned on because they just aren't able to control themselves.
So these items will always be there, and you as the host can choose whichever ones you want?
100% correct.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
In terms of the breakout rooms,
Hmm.
so what you're using right now, is that just basic Zoom, or
Yes.
are you using Zoom Pro?
Nope.
Or
Everything I've done so far is basic Zoom.
okay, so in basic Zoom, you can set up a number of breakout rooms?
Yes, I
Is
can.
there okay, great. Okay, thank you.
It's funny you should say that.
Did you have to
Is I'm-
create an,
Go ahead.
do you need to create an account to get, the controls as a host?
Yes, you need to create a Zoom. You got to go to zoom.us and create an account. There's a free, there's paid 1, paid 2, paid 3, and I'll talk to those briefly. So right now I'm actually creating a breakout room. So I'm inviting you all to go into these little breakout rooms. So this is the equivalent of small group instruction. Hi.
Hi.
So this is me as the instructor going from group to group.
Got it.
So I can check on, no, again, you're kind of like, again, thinking of like, elementary school and high school, middle school, like go in your group, you start your work, and the teacher walks around to make sure everyone's on task. That's exactly what I'm doing here.
This is not working. Okay.
I just heard you. Whoever said iPhone, I heard you.
No, I said, I'm not on with you. I don't see me. Okay.
I don't see you either.
I
You're not-
joined late.
Yeah, you're not broadcasting your video, but
Yeah.
I do
I
hear
see
you.
you.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, I'm
Okay.
gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave this breakout.
Just to see what happens. Oh, there he is.
Return to main.
Well, I can't
session.
hear him. He's
Oh,
not speaking to us.
Yeah, main session.
I'm going to go back to the main session.
Hold on. I'm seeing all. Oh, okay. I was seeing all of you in
Oh,
your small group.
Right.
That was me kind of walking around the room to
I
check
see.
on progress.
Now we want to go back to the room. How do we do that?
There should be a leave room in the bottom right,
Right?
and then you're back to the main group. I've now told everyone they need to come back to the main room.
Mike, would you have been able to talk to us in the chat room?
At that point, no. I can only go from from small group to small group to small group.
You can't, once you get into the group, you can talk to them?
Yes, I didn't do it for everybody, but I can jump from small group to small group.
Mike, as the host, how did you jump from group to group?
I have a list of all the breakout rooms, and it simply says join.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So everyone's coming back to me. Please, I
We
hope
were
so.
in timeout.
I'm sorry?
We were in timeout.
Oh, sorry.
If you don't have two computers, sounds like you have your control screen and then you
No,
have,
all of this is
no?
on one. I only have the second machine to see what a student sees. It's not necessary. It's just an up if you have it, because that way you can see like what they're seeing. I kind of often look to my left to make sure that what I'm saying is actually what you all are seeing. It's not 100% necessary, but it does help. Anyway, so I'm going to go back. So that was an example. Again, you can do a share screen, and then you can put people in different spots. So you can say, like, again, someone's in a music group. So I'm going to put all the altos and all you rehearse together, and all the sopranos will rehearse together over here. So those are the settings that I was talking about. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to actually invite someone to a meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this share, turn this share back on. Okay, so here I am. I'm back in my account for Zoom, and I'm going to say schedule a meeting. So meetings, and then schedule a new meeting. And I get to name it. And I give it a time and a date. Now, the important bit is that it really doesn't matter what the duration is. Like, it doesn't really matter. You can just say any number of time and it will still start and go as long as your account goes for. If you wanted to, you could put in your own password here. You could actually say what you want the password to be rather than randomly generating it. But absolutely positively, every meeting should have a password, because you don't want people just jumping in. You don't. And again, I mute people on entry. I enable them at the waiting room. And then I hit save. And then what I do is I take this whole thing. See, it says invite link. And then I email it to you. And that's how you join. That's how you got today's session. That big old long link is how you got in.
You can copy the invitation too, right? If you click on
Yes,
the right.
100% right. I could go add it to my Google Calendar. I say allow. And then I could invite whoever I want.
Mike, why did we have to come through Google today? I've gone to other meetings and we just click, come on, but I had to go to my Google account. Why do we have to do that?
That's how I sent you the agenda.
Okay.
I mean, I could have sent you the agenda in a myriad of different ways.
Okay.
Actually getting into the meeting was simply an email.
Right. Right. But we had to have a Google account to be able to even.
That was for the agenda only.
Okay.
I was hopeful. The reason why I do it through Google is if I make edits after if I sent it to you all last night, and then any edit I would have made after that, you wouldn't have gotten the edit. Whereas if you use a Google document, any edits you make, you just have it. The edit just happens. So like you see this document, that is what I sent last night. I made one or two, I realized I made a spelling error. So I could correct the spelling error and you would just have it. Now, if I sent it to you another way, you wouldn't have the corrected version.
You know, I tried to copy this agenda and it said that you wouldn't allow us to copy it. Is that true, or?
That's a security setting that I set up. Yeah.
Okay.
I asked for a requested access to it. I had to request access to it.
Well, I sent it to you. I mean, that was weird because I did send you read permission last night. You asked me 3 times today if you could have permission, which was weird.
Right, and I don't know if it worked still because then we started the class.
Okay. Well, it should have worked. I'll send
Okay.
it. I'll send it to you all again in PDF form later today.
Oh, that's,
Yeah, just
Okay.
so you.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
But
So
I
what-
guess to answer the question too, if you're any participants in your Zoom meeting don't have to have Google or a Google account.
No, again, that was simply me trying to be sending the agenda. You don't have to have
Okay.
anything.
But
All
this-
right.
that we have here, because it has all the links on it, will you send that to us?
Yes, that's what I just said, Robert. I will definitely send it to you today.
Thank you. Okay.
Sure thing. All right. What else can we talk about? Like I said, we got breakout rooms, Q&A, polls. Sure.
So
All right.
putting the people you want to invite,
Mhm.
can you go through that again? There's that link I saw that was a meeting
thing.
link, and then where do you put the people in with their email address?
Well, this link right here.
Right.
I'm going to copy that. And then however it is you send to people. I sent things through an email. So you go to your email. You hit on compose.
Oh, yeah, no, I know how to do that. That's fine. And then you paste it, and then you.
Yeah,
put
you
the
paste
people
it
on.
in, yeah.
That's fine. I got it. I'm sorry.
No, nothing to be sorry about. You asked a question. I think it's valid. So I'm going to get back to my my presentation here. Okay. So we've gone over the security. We've gone over, yeah, how to send them, how to send an event. Oh, we talked about, like I said, if someone's having trouble getting in and they call you or they email you or they some other thing, as you saw in the upper left-hand corner, there's that button that has the little I. So you have that, it's called, it says meeting information. That shows you the meeting ID and the password. And then there's even an invite link in there, so you can just copy it from there and send it to somebody. That's the same link that you got earlier today.
Now, I don't see that in as an iPad option.
That's correct. That's what I hate to belabor, but that's right. Again, your feature set is more limited on an iPad.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What else?
May I ask if you go over how to stop Zoom bombing?
Well,
What?
the number one way is to ensure that your session has a password on it.
Okay.
And you can either type it in manually or it will randomly assign a password for you. The second way is through having that meeting room, the waiting room. I had to manually let each of you in. When you tried to join, it said, host is going to let you in later.
Okay.
What I can do, if I'm really concerned, is I can ask you to turn on your video after I let you in, before I will let you in one at a time and say, turn on your video. I want to make sure you're you. And if I don't like what you're doing, there's a security feature where I can just knock you out and you can't come back in.
Okay. And what is that? What is the security
It's
feature?
basically, there's a button on my screen called security. Like, again, you don't have it because you're a participant.
Okay. All
But I
right.
have the ability to
As the host?
As the host, I can remove a participant. I can report you to Zoom. Now that the meeting has started, I can lock the room also.
Okay.
How do you do that, Mike? How do you
Again,
lock
there's on your bottom, you have sharing, participants, and polling. I have a couple of other things. And one of those other things is security. So you have the ability to stop that down. Let me show you what that looks like real quick. Desktop.
And I don't see polling anywhere.
Right.
Well, I've turned it off. Hold on. Let
Okay.
me Okay, so that's what my screen looked like. I have, as you can see, I have a couple extra buttons.
A lot of extra.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of them is security.
Right.
So I can lock the meeting, meaning no one else can get in. I can turn on and off chat in the middle. Like, hey, I thought you guys could handle it, but you can't. I can just turn it off. I can turn off your ability to share your screen because you're messing around. I have the ability to remove you. And if once you're removed, you can't come back in. So,
Mike, how do you let the participants in while they're in the waiting room? Where is that?
what happens is I get, again, you see where it says participants right here? When I'm in with participants, I get a little red button that says new person is trying to join. And once they're joined, once I get that notification, I just click on them and say admit.
Okay.
That's actually explained in video number 8. It says let participants in waiting room. Let me stop that. Let's take a look at that. So this is an example of one of the videos that I made for this class. So there's that little button in the right that says admit. Let me go back. So I have a little notice saying that this person's trying to join.
Okay.
I click admit. And now they're in. So that's how you admit someone. It's one simple click. And as you can see, the red means, let me stop, let me go back. The red means, right there, upper right-hand corner, means that that person's video is currently turned off. So I can click on their name and ask them to turn on their video. And I can click on their name and choose to unmute them.
You do that for me. This is Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Suzanne. I can't seem to get video or audio on my MacBook Pro, but I see my name as a participant. Okay. If you click on my name.
Are you Suzanne Huke? H-U-K-E?
Aesthetics.
I'm sorry?
I'm Suzanne.
That's me. I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Now, oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm the head in the bottom of Robert's screen.
Well, everyone's a little bit different.
Okay, so start my video. But when I click on that, it says, cannot detect your camera.
Yeah, that's not me.
No, it's not. But then when I go down to video, it said the same thing.
You may have to allow your, thank you, Sylvia. You may have to allow your camera to be accessed by Zoom.
I did. I used Zoom yesterday and I allowed it. But today it says here to use Zoom, install the latest version of a standard browser such as Chrome, Firefox, and Chrome.
Probably. You may need, like I said, you may need to update to the newest version of Zoom as well.
Okay.
Version 5.0 is the new one.
Okay.
It's got additional security features, so you want to make sure that you have that installed. So on my participants channel, I have the ability to turn people's on and off, turn on their audio, turn off their video, etc. So like I can invite someone to start their video and then they can say yes or no. And that's fine. Again, I don't care most of the time whether you want to turn your video on and off or not. But you know, you as the end user have the ability to do that. A couple of physical setup things that I should remind you, and again, you're all kind of doing it already, is be in a place where you're reasonably private. We did have a situation where a student His father walked behind him on the way to the shower one time. So that was a little uncomfortable. As you can see, you can probably tell I'm in my basement, and I have a tarp behind me. So it's private, like you can't see the rest of the basement. You can't see anyone else. I'm downstairs. So you want to make sure that you want to have as an uncluttered workspace as you can. I see one person is in his dining room, and there's a reflection off the back, which would make it just a little bit more difficult. Not crazy, but you want to try to be as quiet as possible. Also, if you're walking away from your camera, you probably want to stop your video so the teacher doesn't know that you've walked away. So those are just a couple of tips as a
how do you do that? How can you?
You should be in the bottom left where it says there should be a mute and a stop video button. You can turn off your video. You can turn off your audio. Okay. So if, for example, your phone rings and you want to get out of the class for a second, you could pause your video and audio, take the call, and then when you're back, you turn the video back on and off.
Can we go back to the record part then? For example, if we want to record this session as participants, we can do that.
Well, you could have a button, again, on that bottom, that's where all the controls are.
Right.
You may or may not have a recording button.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so you could record it for yourself. I'm recording it now. You can see in the upper left-hand corner it's being recorded. Right. And then again is for participants to know, yeah, you're being recorded. Please don't say anything crazy. Or whatever. So
Mike?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I think you had started talking about the different levels.
Yes.
Free versus.
Thank you for that. I'll do it right now. Thank you. Okay, let me go back over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get out of this and get out of this. Here we go. So when you are when you're trying to do this, there are different levels. Right now, the free version is one session at a time, up to 100 people. And right now, because of the situation we're in, there's no max time anymore, but usually the max number of times is 40 minutes per session. I have what's called the pro version, meaning that I can record to the cloud, and even under normal times, my events can last as much as I like. I also have done an upgrade called Webinar. And Webinar allows me to host up to 1,000 people at once. That's a little different though, because everybody's camera is automatically turned off and everybody's audio is automatically turned off. And I have to promote them to what's called panelist to allow them to be seen or heard. So that's really good for really large groups, like the mayor's roundtable or whatever it is. So if you're really in a big organization, you would get something like the business version, where you could see reports about how many people were using it, how many people were in it, how often is it being used, what kind of features were turned on. You would be able to get customized reports on all of the polls that were given. But as you can see, that starts getting expensive. $20 a month per person. So if you have 10 people, that's $200 a month every month. Brigitte, you have a question, or you're just playing around with raising your hand?
Oh, I raised my hand before. I can take. You answered my question. So
well, that's fine. Again, I want to bring it to everyone's attention that you do have the ability. Yes. Well, no, Mary. Zoom does not. No, as of now, again, Mary asked a question in the chat. As of now, it does not knock you off after 40 minutes. But that's because we're under this circumstance. When we go back to normal, it will.
I have a quick question. If you're a panelist, can you become a non-panelist, or are you a panelist
Yes,
for the
yes,
entire
I can push you back into the audience.
Okay, but as the panelist, can you remove yourself?
Oh yeah, you can put yourself back in the audience. Sure.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Oh sure. Absolutely.
And when you record, where does it go?
One of two places. You can either record it to your local computer, which is what I recommend, or you can record it to their cloud storage, but their cloud storage costs. On the pro side, they give you only 1 gig of space. So that's only about 2 hours. So I like to store it on my local computer, and therefore it allows me to control, where it's going, how long it's going to be. I can always crop it down if I want. So most people stick with the free because you can have up to 100 people, but in some circumstances, you can have more than that. So,
I
and
say
go ahead. Yeah.
I've been on Zoom meetings where the person had it free and they do cut it at 40 minutes.
They have relaxed that lately.
Okay, it must be very recent.
Yeah, so here's what I would do. If I was concerned my meeting would go more than 40 minutes, I would just make 2 sessions. And I would say, yes, I've done that before they removed my limitation. I said, okay, for the first 40 minutes, we're going to be in this one. At around 35 minutes, I'm going to start this other one, and everyone's going to jump into that. It's a little more cumbersome, but that is the workaround. So, those are the kinds of things that are helpful.
Can I ask you another question?
Please, go ahead.
I had a Zoom meeting and I shared some photos on my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
It went full screen with those.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, people were trying to get in. They arrived late to the gathering, and I didn't see the admitting button. They never got in because I was on full screen, I guess, and sharing.
Yeah, there's no real good way around that other than stopping the share every once in a while just to make sure. Like someone just tried to join again just now. She must have gotten knocked off. So while I was talking with you, there was a little warning in my upper left-hand corner saying, someone's trying to get in.
Oh, that's my wife. She finally got in.
Good. So that's my point. Oh, is she next to you?
Yes.
That's why you're getting that feedback.
Yeah, I'll turn off my mic.
Okay, I'm just saying, like that's what's happening. So if you have a second computer next to you, you do want to turn off the microphone because then you'll get your own feedback, and you don't want that. So, friends, like I said, this is pretty much the overview of Zoom. What we'll have is you have these links in this. I will send everybody the agenda. So just through a PDF. And these videos right here kind of go over much of the things that I said so far. So I want you to know that, yes, first of all, this presentation has been recorded, and I will have it available to you to review if you want to sit through the hour again. Secondarily, these videos are going to be available to you whenever you want to view them. So to kind of get a pared down version of what we're doing, what we did.
Mike, how do you send the participants a link to the video that you recorded? Like for this meeting?
It's the same thing. I'm going to post it on YouTube and then send you all a link to where the email is.
Just one quick question. I know we're coming at the end. How do you pin someone?
I can click on their picture. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a little button. And it says pin. So now you're pinned.
I'm sorry, what does pin mean?
Pin means that that person's video is the one that will be seen and no one else's.
I see.
So instead of following whoever's talking, pin means that person was the only one anyone will see, and it won't move around. Like right now I'm pinned. So you have to see me no matter who's talking.
And only the host can pin?
That's correct. friends, this was a lot of fun. I hope you picked up a couple of things. And like I said, I'll send you that agenda later. And hopefully you picked up a couple of items. So thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I do have to go now. So thank you all so much.
Mike.
Be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.